Hello everyone, we are good to go. Palak, let's start with the session.
Yes, sure. Okay. Is my screen visible? Okay. Okay, hello everyone. This is Palla Gupta. I'm a webmaster at PCCOE ACM student chapter, and today I'm going to be guiding you through this session. So this is our event agenda. The first thing that we will be covering is Hacktoberfest 2021, which is organized by DigitalOcean. After that, we will be covering Git and GitHub, how you can install it and what. After that, we will be covering Git commands. This will be a hands-on session. We will be telling you all the major Git commands that you will need to contribute to open source. After that, we will be telling you about PCCOE Hacktoberfest and how you can contribute to it. PCCOE Hacktoberfest is organized by PCCOE and it is different as compared to Hacktoberfest. So do not get confused. The first one is conducted by DigitalOcean and the fourth one is conducted exclusively by PCCOE, which we will be telling you about in today's session. And at the very end, you will be receiving a Git cheat sheet. So in case you do not remember the commands, do not worry. You will be given a cheat sheet so you can follow it later. So starting with the session, what is Hacktoberfest? Now, Hacktoberfest is basically a 1 month long event that is conducted every year in the month of October to spread awareness about open source and why you should contribute to it. This is done to expand the community and also to encourage more and more people to contribute to open source projects. Now, the main question is, why should we contribute to open source and why should we participate in Hacktoberfest? So let me tell you, if you want to start your open source journey, then Hacktoberfest is the perfect way to begin it. Hacktoberfest is open to all and you do not need any experience in open source or Git and GitHub to get started. Plus, you have 1 month to learn open source and Git to contribute. You can explore various different projects. Also, there are many organizations that create repositories, especially for Hacktoberfest, so that if you are a first timer, you can easily contribute to it and find repositories to contribute to in a fair chance. Last but not the least, you have a chance to win exciting goodies. Hacktoberfest provides official Hacktoberfest t-shirts, as you can see over here. So these t-shirts and some really cool stickers. And it is very easy. You just have to create 4 valid pull requests. In case someone does not know what a pull request is, don't worry, we will be covering that in this session. But to everyone who already knows what a PR is, you know how easy it is to create 4 valid pull requests and you get a chance to win these very exciting goodies. Okay, so how to register and contribute to Hacktoberfest? So the link will be given in the chat box. Head over to this link. When you go to this link, you will get an option to sign up with GitHub or to create an GitHub account if you don't have one yet. So I'm assuming everyone has a GitHub account since that was taught in the last session. You can click on sign up with GitHub. After you do that, it will ask for permission. You have to authorize Hacktoberfest to your GitHub account. So after you have done that, there are some rules that you have to accept and some information that you will have to provide. So the first thing is your email address. Now make sure you use the email address that has been registered on your GitHub account. Second thing is location. So it will be India for most of us. After that, you will have 3 options over here, whether you are participant, whether you are a maintainer, or whether you are an event organizer. So most of you will be a participant. Maintainer is basically someone who creates repositories for Hacktoberfest and maintains them. So since I'm also a maintainer, I will be selecting this, but this will not be applicable to most of you. So please just check which are applicable to you and select those. After that, you have to select the terms and conditions. You have to agree to them and click next. Finally, you can click on start hacking. And that is it. You have officially been registered and are a part of Hacktoberfest now. You will see your profile over here. It will show how many pull requests you have completed and how many are in progress. This will be your dashboard. So is everything clear up till here? Can someone please confirm? Team?
Yes, everything is clear.
Okay. So next, if you head over to the official website of Hacktoberfest, you can read the rules over there and the event details. I will not be explaining everything, but the main point that you have to keep in mind is please do not create spam pull requests. Now, what is a spam pull request? Some people, what they do is they create pull requests just to get their 4 PRs completed and earn goodies. So do not do that. Only create issues which are relevant to the repository with the relevant changes, and make sure that the issue has not already been addressed to. And also make sure that you abide by the code of conduct of the repository, and the repositories which are participating in Hacktoberfest will have a Hacktoberfest label. So you can read everything over here and proceed with it. So this was all about registering and contributing. So moving on to the next part, that is Git and GitHub intro and installation. So first, let me tell you how you can install Git. You will need Git if you want to participate, because Git is the version control system that is used for open source. So head over to the link. The link will be given in the chat box if you are on Mac or Windows. And if you are on a Linux, you can use these commands in the terminal. So if you go to the link that has been provided, you will see, since I'm on a Windows, I will be downloading for Windows. You can choose whatever is appropriate according to your system. I have already installed it, so I will not be installing it again, but I will show you the steps to do it. So here in the agreement, keep all the values to the default. Do not change anything over here. Git already does everything. So just select all the default values. Click on next. And finally, you will get this install button over here. When you click on it, Git will automatically be installed in your system. If you already have Git installed, or if you are done installing it, please put a done in the chat box so we know how many of you are actually done with it and we can proceed. Okay, so I see most of you are done. If someone is not done, it can go on in the background. You can pay attention while I'm explaining Git and GitHub. So this is one of the most confusing things for most of the people. Some of them are very confused about what is the difference between Git and GitHub. So Git is basically a word. What is a version control system? To keep a track of all the files and changes in your code. Now, take an example. You are working on a project with your friends. If you do not use a version control system, what will you do? If someone makes a change in the code, they will save it on their local PC, then they will send it to you, and then you will update the code in your local PC. So instead of doing that, you can use a version control. So how will it help? It will automatically do all that for you. If you use a VCS means version control system, show you that what part of the code was changed exactly and why it was changed and who changed it. So all those details will be given to you if you use a version control system, which makes the task very easy as compared to doing it manually. If you look at GitHub, on the other hand, GitHub is a service. So you basically a service where you host your projects and repositories so that you can anywhere. So you can take a few seconds to go through this slide. If you do not understand any particular thing, it's okay. This is very technical, but you will understand this as you contribute more and use Git and GitHub more. And do not worry, we will be sharing the presentation with you in case you miss anything. So moving on to the next part. The next part is the hands-on session, the most exciting part, and I know everyone has been waiting for this. Here we will be telling you the most common Git commands that now we will not be covering all commands, we will be covering the basic commands, but trust me, those commands will be enough for you to start contributing to open source and Hacktoberfest. Now, before we start, there are some keywords that you need to know about GitHub. Now, these keywords, please note, these are not the actual definitions. These are just analogies that we have created so you can better understand and remember these. Once you know about all these, it will be very easy for you to understand the things that will be covered later. So the first thing is a repository. A repository on GitHub is basically like a container where you store all your project files so that you can access it. A repository will be hosted on GitHub. So it will not be on your local machine. It will be on GitHub where you can store all your project files and code. Next thing is an issue. Now an issue, what it means is, suppose you go to a website and you find a bug in the website, or you may find something that is missing, like you might want to add a different feature to the website. So what you do is you go to GitHub, the original repository where the code of that particular website is, and you create an issue. So when you create an issue, you are basically telling the owner or the maintainer of the repository that you have found a bug, or you have found a feature that you would like to add, or you would like to bring to their attention. So that is an issue. You create an issue just to notify the repository owner that this is something that you would like to add or change code. The next thing is a fork. A fork is your own copy of the repository. So you always work on forks. So the repository that is the original repository belongs to the owner, and you do not actually work on that repository itself. You create a copy of that repository and then you work on it. So that copy will be reflected on your GitHub account. Next thing is a branch. Now branches are used so that you do not work on the main stable branch. As you can see from the symbol, there is a straight line which indicates that that is the main branch that has all the code flowing, and you create a diversion over there and you add your own code over here. You do that so that there are no bugs or errors installed because of your code. After you experiment and add all the code on your branch, you can get the branch merged to the main branch. Next part is a commit. A commit is basically like a snapshot of the current version of the code. So whenever you create a commit, what you actually do is, suppose you have added a few changes. In the future, you might want to see when you added those changes and why you added those changes. So for that, we use a commit. Suppose you created a commit today with add a title. After 2 days, if you introduce new code and then you realize that your code has bugs in it, what you would like to do is you would like to go to the previous version of the code. So to do that, you create a commit so you can go back to the previous version of the code, or you can check the details of that specific version of the code. And the last thing is a pull request. A pull request is basically like proposing changes to the owner of the repository. After you have added your code to the repository, to your fork, what you do is you create a pull request so that the owner knows that you have created these particular changes, and if he feels that the changes are correct, he will approve those and merge your pull request. So Hacktoberfest is all about these things, and if you understand these properly, trust me, that is all there is to open source. So let's get coding and make sure that you understand the process as I'm explaining it. I'm going to be telling you the workflow first, and then we will move on to the commands. So when I explain the steps, please make sure that you understand this. Even if you do not remember all the commands, we will be providing you all the commands at the very end. And the commands are not the main part. The main part is actually understanding what you are doing and what you have to do to contribute to an open source repository. So the first step is creating an issue. Now, this is the main repository, which means the repository of the original owner. So the first thing you do is you create an issue to notify the owner that, okay, these are the changes that I want to work on. After the owner approves that you can work on it, you can go ahead with it. Are there any doubts till now? Can someone please confirm?
Palak, as of now, we do not have any doubts.
Okay, sure. If you have any doubts, you can put them in the chat box. The team will get back to you, or I will get back to you. Okay, so the step one is creating an issue. Please make sure you do not contribute to any open source project without creating an issue first. After you have created an issue and after the maintainer has said that you can work on it, the next step is forking the repository. What does forking mean? So now here you have the original repository, that is the parent repository. So when you fork it, it means that you are creating a copy of the original repository. So this copy will be reflected on your GitHub account so that you can work on it. It will be like your very own version of that same repository. So you can experiment with it, and if there are any errors or bugs, you can solve it instead of working on the main, which might create problems later. So after step 2, what you do is after you have forked the repository, you clone it. Now, why do we need to clone it? When you fork the repository, it is present on your GitHub account. But when you want to work on that, what you want is that repository should be present on your local machine. So cloning is basically creating a copy of your fork to the local machine so that you can work on it. So you clone from your fork. Please note that you are not supposed to clone the parent repository. You are supposed to clone the fork that you have created. So it will go from your fork to your local copy. The next part is adding an upstream. Now, this is a very important concept, so please pay attention, and if you have any doubts, please ask them. Why do we create an upstream? Now, an upstream is always the parent or the main repository that you have forked from. Now, suppose you have created your own fork, you are working on your own copy. But what happens if someone else changes anything in the main branch? Because there are many people who are working on one project simultaneously. So if someone adds or changes a code in the main repository, how will you come to know in your local repository that the code has been changed or edited? So for that, you add an upstream. So you will know what has changed whenever you add upstream, or whenever you will pull upstream, you will come to know what changes have been made, and you can add that to your local copy so that you can work on the next steps accordingly. So the next step is fetch upstream. Now what you do in fetch is you have a main repository and you have your local copy. So after you have added upstream, whenever you are working, it is always a good practice to fetch upstream, which means if there are any changes made in the main repository, those changes will be fetched to your local copy. So you should always fetch from time to time, because if it is a big repository or a project and many people are working on it, there will be a lot of changes. And if you do not fetch those changes, you will have merge conflicts in the code later. So to avoid that, you should always make it a point to fetch upstream before you start working and before you push your code. So step 6 is making changes. Now this step is basically like updating your local copy. Whatever code you want to add to the repository or change, so all that will be done on your local copy. Please make sure it is done on your local copy. And after you update it, you have to add it. Now what is done in this step is suppose you have made multiple changes in the code, but you are only sure about a few of those changes and you do not want to add all those changes. So what will you do? You will add only specific changes that have been finalized. So those finalized changes will be added in this step. So in this step, you add whatever changes have been finalized from your local copy. Next step is commit. As I've already explained commit, I'll tell you again in short. Commit is like creating a checkpoint of the final changes. If we take an example, suppose you are working on a code today and you create a commit. If you create another commit 2 days later, but you find that the code that you wrote 2 days later is not working, so what will you do? How will you go back to the previous version? So for that, you can use commits. Since you committed today, you can revert back and go to this version of your code, so that if there are any errors, you can undo those errors. So commit is basically a checkpoint. The next part is pushing your code. So whatever changes you have committed, those will be pushed to your forked repository. Okay, so those are not added directly. Add those changes to your forked repository. So changes were in your local copy. After you push those, the changes will be reflected on your forked repository. And the last and the final step that everyone is waiting for, after the end of these 9 steps, you can successfully create a PR. That is, whatever changes have been added to your forked repository, you send a pull request, which is called a PR in short, to the main repository. So main means the parent repository. So the owner or the maintainer of the repository will come to know that, okay, you have created these changes, and if he thinks that those changes are correct, he can approve those changes and merge your pull request. Whenever your pull request is merged, it means that your code has been added in the main parent repository. Was it clear till here? Are there any doubts that I need to address?
No, Palak, you can proceed further.
Okay, I'll once again explain. I'll just give an overview of these steps. First, we create an issue. After that, we fork the repository. After forking, it is on your GitHub, so you clone it to your local machine. Then you add upstream. Add upstream is basically adding a reference to from the main repository to your local repository, so that you can know whenever the changes have been made in your main repository. After that, you fetch upstream. In fetch, what you do is from the main repository, you fetch all the changes to your local copy. After that, you make all the relevant changes, you add them, commit them, then you finally push the code to your forked repository. And after you have successfully pushed the code, you create a pull request. So these are the 10 steps that are followed to successfully contribute to open source. And once you practice this, I can guarantee that it will not take you more than 5 minutes to complete this, except the 6th step, because you have to write the actual code over there. Apart from this, the remaining steps will not take more than 5 minutes. Okay, so now let's see this with a hands-on session. You can also follow along with me. Okay, so the first thing is you go to your GitHub account, and then you go to the repository that you want to contribute to. Now this is the repository that I want to contribute to. So I have gone to this repository. Here you can see the name of the repository owner. Now this repository belongs to Shamik Ghadke. So you can see the name of the owner, and then you can see the name of the repository. So the name of the repository is First PR. Now always make sure that you go through the README file before you start contributing. So you can see this is a sample repository to help you complete your first pull request. Simply make a new file with the name yourname.md and add your name inside it. So these are the guidelines. Now what I want to do here is I want to add my own MD file. Like you can see here, the file is hello, I am Shamik. So in the same way, what we want to do is I want to add palakgupta.md and I want to add the same thing. So first thing what I'll do is I will create an issue to tell the repository owner that I want to contribute. So first, make sure you give an appropriate title to the issue explaining what exactly the issue is or what exactly you want to add to the repository. I want to add a file. Since this is a sample issue, I have given it a short title, and you can leave a comment, but I will not be doing that right now because it is a sample issue. But if there is some very big issue in some website, please make sure that you describe the issue over here and then submit the new issue. So after you submit the issue, you can see the title, the issue number, and now you have to wait for the repository maintainer or owner to approve it. Shamik, can you please approve this?
Yes, Farhan.
Okay. So now, as you can see, the owner has said, Palak, you may go ahead. So it's always make sure that you acknowledge it. So you have to send why an acknowledgement is needed, I will tell you. Suppose it's a very big website and multiple people are working on it. Why you need to give acknowledgement is so that others know that you are working on this issue. If you do not give an acknowledgement, what will happen is 10 people will start working on the same issue. 10 people will create a code, but only one code will get merged at the end. So it is a waste of time for the remaining people. So always make sure after opening an issue, after you receive an approval, you acknowledge that you are now working on it. So once you get an approval, what you have to do is, as you can see on the top right corner of the screen, there is an option to fork. So you click on it. If you are a part of any organization, you will see different organizations. So you can select if you want that. Since I will be working on my personal account, I will select the first option. It will take a few seconds to fork it. Okay, so it has now been forked. I'll once again tell what a fork was. A fork is creating your own copy of the repository. So if you look, what I will see is I will see my username / the name of the repository. And when you look here, forked from the name of the owner, that is Shamik, and the name of the repository. So after forking, this is your fork. If you go over here, if you see the name of the maintainer and the repository name, it means this is the parent repository. It is called the parent repository. And this, where you see your username, is your forked repository. You can also see forked from over here. So once you are done forking it, let me just explain a few things over here. You will see a message over here, this branch is even. What does this mean? This means that both these things have the same code in it right now. It means the parent repository, this repository, and my repository. These have the same code in it. There are no changes, so it will show that this branch is even. If I add any changes over here, it will show me that my branch is ahead of the original repository. Okay. So what was the next step? You can see here, after creating an issue, after forking it, you clone it. So clone is basically creating your copy of it in your local machine. So here you can see a code option. If you click here, you will get the link. So you copy the link over here. So when you copy the link, please make sure that you are on your forked version. It should show your username / repository name. Don't clone the original file. Make sure that you are on your forked repository. Okay. Then you can go to any text editor of your choice. Here I will be using VS Code, but it is not a compulsion. You can use anything that you like. I will be using VS Code because it is very simple to use. Also, I will be using the integrated terminal. If you do not want to use an integrated terminal, you can also use your command terminal. You can, so this is the command terminal. You can use this. The commands will be exactly the same. There is no difference. Or you can also use git bash. So what terminal you use depends completely on you. The commands are the same. There is no difference in the commands. Okay. So first you move to the folder where you want to clone it. Clone means keeping a local copy of the repository. So now I have gone to this directory. Whatever you want, you can cd and you can do cd and go to that directory. So after you are here, what you have to do is we have to clone it. So one thing to remember is git commands always start with the word git. So you put git. The next thing is we have to clone it. So you do git clone. Now what we had to clone? We had to clone our repository. So your repository, you copy the URL and you paste the URL over here. It will take a few seconds to clone it. Once you're done cloning, you can see that it will be added to the left-hand side panel. Okay. Now, what you have to do is after you have cloned, you have to go to that repository. So cd, that is change directory. And what is the directory name? The directory name is first PR. So you do that. So now you will be able to see main over here, which means that you are in a Git repository. Now, please make sure that you do this step. Many people forget this step. And if you forget this, you will not be able to add upstream and all that. So make sure that you do this step. After you have cloned it, the next step was adding an upstream so that your repository and the parent repository is in sync. I'll show you the steps once again so that you remember. Create an issue, fork the repository, clone it. We have done these 3 steps. Next step is add upstream. Why we have to add upstream is so that the repositories are in sync and so that we can get the changes from the parent repository if there are any. So the command is git remote add upstream. Now, please note you can name it anything, but calling it upstream is a convention. So to add upstream, what you have to do is you go to the parent repository. Once you go to the parent repository, you copy the link of that repository and paste it here. So now the upstream will be added. So remember, when you clone it, you should be able to see your username over here. And when you add upstream, the username of the original repository owner or maintainer should be here. So here you can see Shamik over here since it is his repository. So this is one point that you have to remember. After you have added upstream, you can check whether it has been added or not. So the next step is just for checking. It is not a part of what you have to do. It's not a necessity, but it is always a good thing to check whether or not it has been done. So if you do git remote -v and press enter, you can see origin and you can see upstream. So in origin, you will see your own repository link. So you will see your username over here. And in upstream that we just added, you will be able to see the username of the repository owner. Are there any doubts still here that I need to address?
Palak, good going.
Okay. So see, after you have added upstream, the next thing is fetch upstream. Now, what does fetching mean? It means updating your local copy in case there are any changes. Now, since we have just cloned the repository, there will be no changes, but this is an important step. So I'm going to show it to you. Git fetch upstream. So after that it has fetched, you can see from. In from, it will show the parent repository that it has fetched changes from this repository. Since there are no changes, nothing is being shown over here. But if there were any changes, it would have been listed over here that these are the changes that have been made. Okay. So the first step, you clone. After that, you add fetch and upstream. After you are done with this, now you are all set to make your changes. So you go to that repository, the folder. Now here, what I want to do is I want to add a new file. So I will click on new file. I will name the new file. Press enter. So you will make changes to the code, whatever you want to do. So what I want to do is I want to add a sentence. So I've added the changes which I wanted. Since this is a sample, the changes won't be very much, but if you're working on a real repository, there will be a lot of files and changes that will be made. So I've saved this. Now, so after you are done doing this, now let me tell you, currently the changes are not being tracked by Git because we have not added this. If you check the status, git status is another command that is used for checking. What will git status do? Git status will basically tell you about your files and folders, whether something has been changed, whether something has been committed, whether there are any new changes. So as of now, I created a palakgupta.md. So you can see untracked files. I told you Git is not currently tracking them. Git will start tracking those files after you add it. So you can see it is really easy with Git. It will always tell you the next steps. You can see use git add file to include what will be committed. And it will be shown in red that this is the file that has been modified and now you need to add it. So the command for add is git add period. Now this period over here, what does this mean is if you suppose you change multiple files, 10 to 15 files, will you add them manually one by one? So what you do is you do git add period. So it adds all the files that were changes at once. Otherwise, what you would have to do is you would have to write the first file that you have changed. Then you would have to repeat with the name of the next file. So instead of that, we do git add. Now, after you add it, now if you see the status, you will see that it will show that this has been added. Now you have to commit it. So you can see changes to be committed. palakgupta.md, it is now being shown in green because Git is tracking it. So now you have to commit these files. We are already done adding it. So to commit, it's pretty easy, as you can already guess, git commit. Okay. So in git commit, there is one flag that is -m. Now, what does this stand for? This stands for message. Now, why is a message important? Now, you have changed the code, but do the people who are working on this know why you have changed the code? They don't. So you have to include a relevant commit message so that the people know exactly why the code has been changed. Or in case you look at your code in the future and you want to know why a particular thing was changed, you can always look at the commit message and understand why it had been changed. A valid message which explains everything. So since I've added a file, I'll write add a file. Okay. Another thing to remember about Git messages, commit messages, the first alphabet, make sure it is capital and do not add a full stop at the end. Is not correct. You do not add a full stop at the end. You started with a capital letter. And the most important thing is do not use the past tense. Do not write added a file over here. You write add a file. You always use the imperative tone over here. So after I've done that, I will click on commit. Now, if I check the status, you will see that the working tree is clean. Okay. So now you can see, in case you get stuck anywhere, make sure you read these messages because these are really helpful. So it will show your branch is ahead of origin/main by one commit. Why is it showing one commit? Because I've just made one commit right now. And it is telling us the next step is to git push. Now, what does this mean? What you have done is you have added the file in your local machine. If you look over here, you can see that the file has, if you look, you go to your fork, okay? Please make sure you go to your fork. So if you look at your forked copy, you will see that the file is not there. There are no changes over here. Why? Because all the changes were made locally. That's why it shows that you are ahead. You have done extra things which are not present here. So for that, what we have to do is git push. After you do git push, what it will do is it will compress all the files, whatever were there, and it will be sent to. If you refresh this, you will see that your file has been added. If you look at the comments, you can see 1 minute ago, add a file, the name of the commit. That has been made, you have pushed the file and the changes are reflected over here. Repository. You will see that the file is not here. Now, why is the file not here? Because you can see push. We have done the 9th step, and what does push do is push will fork repository. What we want is we want it to be sent to the main. So to send it to the main, what we have to do is we have to create a pull request. So finally, if you go over here, you will see this branch is one commit ahead. If you click on contribute, you will get an option of open pull request. So click on this. I'll explain. The head repository should be a repository, okay? It should not be any other repository. It should be your fork. So you should see the name of the fork repository. The base repository will be the parent repository of the owner. So that should be the base repository, and this will be the head repository that your arrow, which means that it's showing that this fork will be going over here. Below you can see the files changed. Here it's very small. If you add anything, it is shown with a plus sign, and if you delete anything, it will be shown with a minus sign. So it will show whatever files were added, whatever files were changed. Request. So when you create a pull request, please make sure that again you enter a relevant name for your pull request. Okay. You add a description that you have done it. So file with my. So once you do that, you can create a pull request after success. Title. You can also, if you use to see a preview, I am not using Markdown language, and we will not be explaining it because it is out of the scope. Is this how it looks like? So if you do this with a hash, it will be shown like a title. Okay. Make sure you link the issue. You can see add a file. Now what is this? This is the issue that we had created. Okay. So if you click on that, you will be able to see the issue that you had created. So whenever you are creating a pull request, make sure that you mention the issue by writing a hash so that the maintainer knows which issue you have addressed in your pull request. So since I've addressed that issue, I will be adding that. Then you can create a. Okay, so the has been created. It is checking for conflicts. Conflicts are basically if you do not fetch the code and then you try to push it and someone else has already updated it, there might be some. So now the repository owner can approve your pull request. If there are any changes, then he will not approve the request. He will leave a comment. But if every owner will approve your pull request. Shamik, can you please check the request? Okay, so you can see that the owner has approved it. He commented that it has been approved, it has merged, and now you will see that it has been merged. At the original code, you will be able to see your file over here. So this is how easy it is to create a pull request in just 10 steps, which don't. Are there any doubts? Okay, since there are no doubts, this repository is now open, and you all can try contributing to it. So the team will send you the link of this repository in the chat box. You can follow the steps that were given over here. Please don't do the first step. You always do it, but since this is a demo, it will create a lot of issues. So don't do the first step. You can start from step 2. First, you fork the repository, you clone it, you add upstream, fetch, make changes, add commit. So you can all try that right now if you want to.
Excuse me, Palak, there are some doubts in the chat section. Can you address those?
How do we pick out issues that we can solve as beginners? Okay, so there is, you can look for labels. Now, I'll just show it to you. So here you can go to good first issue is always a good way for beginners to start. If you do good first issue, you can see the label like this is a repository. You can see open source, contributions welcome, good first issue. So these labels indicate that people who are not so familiar with open source can contribute to this because it does not require a lot of knowledge. So you can always look for issues like this. You can look for Hacktoberfest labels. You can look for labels like beginner friendly, or you can also choose the language that you are comfortable with. Like if you want HTML, you can choose a language. You can say HTML, TypeScript, Python. So suppose you want Python. So if you click on Python, it will show you all the repositories that contain Python and the label good first issue. So in this way, you can select issues which will be good for beginners. What is the deadline for what? Can you please elaborate, Devang? Deadline for pull requests. There is no deadline request if you're talking in terms of Hacktoberfest or in general if you create a pull request. How do I find open source projects on GitHub? You can just, as I just explained, you can go to these labels, you can select what languages you want, and you can choose the repositories accordingly, or you can go to your Explore page. You can see different repositories over here. See what repositories you want to contribute to or what open source projects you want to contribute to depends totally on you. So you have to just go here and you can filter everything accordingly. If you go to advanced search, you can look for creation dates, when it was created, which language you want. You can select a language, a specific language if you want to contribute to. Next, you can choose labels. You have a lot of options over here. If you choose good first issue, it will show all the repositories with these labels. So to find open source projects, you basically select the language which you are comfortable with or the type of project that you want to work with. And you can go to this, I'll again show you where you find this option. So here you have the search bar, all of GitHub. You can see different filters over here. Based on these filters, according to your preference, you can find repositories. If you want to suppose work on something like an Instagram clone, if you search Instagram clone, then you will get repositories with those names. Okay, Hacktoberfest. So you can create pull requests this entire month. Hacktoberfest started officially from 1st October and it will end on 31st October. So within this time frame, you can contribute to any repository that you want and you can create a valid pull request from 1st October to 31st October. There is some time frame that is required to get those pull requests verified. So the verification days time is usually 14 days, but you can create a pull request anytime. There is no deadline. You can create it from 1st to 31st of October. If you add an upstream, make changes, but yeah, so that is why you have to fetch upstream. If you fetch upstream, then see what fetch does is it will show you what changes have been made. So you can add those. When you fetch an upstream, it will not change your code. It will just show you what changes have been made. So you can add your code accordingly. So that is why whenever you're working on a repository that has a lot of contributors, make sure that you always fetch upstream. Okay, I'll show you the command once more. Git fetch upstream. Okay. So here, see now since there were changes, it has fetched those changes. So when you're working on a large repository, make sure you fetch from time to time. There won't be any issues then. But if you add an upstream, make changes, and without fetching upstream, you try to push your code, then it will create issues. How to check all our PRs we have contributed to. So you can, for Hacktoberfest, you can check it on your dashboard or on GitHub. It will be shown in your activity. So if you go to your profile, Here you can see your contribution activity, how many commits you have created, in which repositories you have done, how many are merged. Like if I create a pull request, it shows created a pull request. So everything will be shown in your activity and you can track it from there. Is there any question that I have not addressed to? The team can please let me know. Okay, someone had this. Okay, someone asked what happens to the issue. So I'm showing you. So there's this issue. Since I have created a pull request and the code has been approved, you can simply close issue from here. After you see it has been merged, you can click on close issue. Okay. So after you close it, if you refresh, you will see that the issue has been gone and it will be now shown in the closed tab. Okay. I can't find the files to contribute to. What, can you please elaborate your question? Hacktoberfest ones. What language are you comfortable in? You are looking for repositories, right? So okay, I'll give an example. Suppose you go to, this is our official PCC Hacktoberfest. So here you can see we have Python, we have Flutter, we have data structures and algorithms. So you can choose that and then you can follow the steps to contribute to it. You have to, there is no way to find repositories unless you search for them. So you will have to exclusively search for repositories that you want to contribute to by applying different filters, like what language you want and all that. So if you do that, you will be able to CPP and Python. Okay. Okay, suppose you want CPP, we want Python project. So I'll just search for Python. Okay, so you can see Python World, Python mini projects. This is one repository here for Python, and you will get all the contributing guidelines over here, how you can contribute to the collection. And then that you can search for. So if you click Python, you will see all the repositories. You can see the repository results. There are these many repositories based on Python. So you can search if you want algorithms, whether you want any other projects. You can select Python exclusively from here. You can add the advanced search. You can select good first issue over here if you are not so comfortable. So if you select good first option and search, it will show you all the Python repositories which also have the label good first issue, so that you can work on it. In fetch upstream, the update made by other contributor is reflected. Yeah, it is reflected. That is the purpose of upstream, so that all your code gets updated. Once you fetch upstream, the code changes will be reflected so that you can work accordingly. Okay, so we can continue with the Q&A session after we are done with the previous steps. We will be available on Discord to clear everyone's doubts, whether you have any doubts regarding these steps, how to contribute, finding repositories or anything. These are the commands. We will be sharing this with you, but in the meantime, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. It explains everything. These will be the steps after you have forked and everything. These are the git commands that are used. Okay. Now I would request Vedant to continue with the session.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Vedant.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, so good morning everyone. I'm Vedant Chaudhary. I'm also a webmaster at PCSOE ACM student chapter. So let's come to the fun part. We've decided to make the open source contributions thing a little more fun and competitive. So here is PCSOE Hacktoberfest, which is a sub-event of the main Hacktoberfest event, which is organized by PCSOE. Um, as beginners, which like we have recently been introduced to Git and GitHub, it is quite an overwhelming task to find repos on GitHub to contribute to, specifically for our interest of domain. We find it very difficult. So we've come up with beginner-friendly repositories on our PCC Hacktoberfest organization page. You'll find the link to this page in the chat. So also to make this more fun, we've the top contributors in this contest will also be rewarded with exciting goodies at the end. So we hope you'll give your very best. Let's check out the organization's page. Also, this the Hacktoberfest page, PCSOE page, is also there, so you can check out the repositories you would like to contribute to. You'll find the link in the chat box. So these are beginner-friendly repositories. Also, we've covered many domains like HTML, CSS, React, Android or Flutter, Python, and basic data structures and algorithms. Now coming to the GitHub organizations page. So this is what it looks like. You'll find the repositories here. Now, for example, you want to contribute to this expenses Flutter app. So this is a repository. These are all the files over here. And if you scroll down, you'll find the README file. So the README file will give you a description of what the repository is about. Also, you'll find the guidelines to contribute. So do give this a read and follow the guidelines thoroughly to get your pull request evaluated. You can find the code of conduct here and also the contribution guide. This contribution guide is there on every repository, and these are the basic steps which already Palak has demonstrated. Also, as Palak, you need to create an issue first before working on the repository. So already we have on some repository, we have made some pre-made issues. So you can check those out. Like for animated components, you can see some issues over here. So you can check that out, learn what those issues are, and then you can get started working on it. Also, so you have to only the pull requests made on these particular repositories will be considered for the PCC Hacktoberfest contest. So let's get coding, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you.
If you guys have any doubts right now, you can drop them in the Q&A section. I can see Ayush Milan is asking, share the link. What do you want the link for, Ayush?
Sai, no. Anyone can participate. It's not just specified to PCCA students. Vedant, can you please share the thank you slide, because in the recording
Everyone
it
can
shows a blank
participate in
screen.
it. It is not restricted to the students of PCCOE. Also, we will be sharing the Discord link in a few minutes. Please wait. We will be available on Discord. So while you create issues or while you create pull requests, you can connect with us on Discord and ask your doubts if there are any or if there are any errors.
Guys, make sure you join the Discord link as we will be helping you make your pull request.
Head over to the Discord, and if you have any doubts, go to the Hacktoberfest category and ask your doubts over there. We have the text and voice channel for each of the repository. So in case you have any doubts, you can ask over there. And please fill this feedback form so that we can know how was the session, and we can plan more sessions accordingly.
Ask, if you are not participating in PCCOE Hacktoberfest, you can still contribute to our repositories.
I would suggest you join the PCCA Hacktoberfest as well, as we have some exciting news coming you guys from in the next days. Please take note that after the session ends, we will be joining the Discord voice calls. There you can come in and join us, and you can start contributing to the repositories that we have mentioned.
Also, we'll be adding some new repos throughout the month.
Yeah, we will send the registration link right here.